Hi everyone, I am here with a true story from our book Angels and Wonders, True Stories of Heaven on Earth. This one has a quote before the story, Book of Common Prayer. Defend, O Lord, this child with thy heavenly grace, that he or she may continue thine forever. Erin'S Christmas Vision. Kathy and Mike of northwest suburban Illinois were thrilled at the birth of their second daughter Erin in 1978, but unlike her older sister Kate, Erin seemed fragile. Although she walked early, she preferred being carried. Everyone thought she was exceptionally good baby because she always sat in my lap and she slept a lot, says Kathy, a registered dental hygienist. Actually, she caught every illness that came around, especially ear infections. I knew enough about health to realize something was wrong. Kathy and Mike repeatedly mentioned their concern about Erin to their pediatrician, but blood tests showed nothing. Finally, the doctor told Kathy that she was just an overly concerned mother. They like to say that when they don't know. On December 23, 1980, 2-year-old Erin seemed unusually listless. She barely ate breakfast, then fell asleep on the couch. Kathy looked at her. I could almost see the veins under her skin, she says, and the shadows around her eyes were as dark as her hair. Kathy phoned her pediatrician's partner and insisted on an immediate appointment. The new doctor checked Erin. How long has she looked like this? He said abruptly. Kathy thought over a year, but tests haven't shown anything. I want a complete blood workup at the hospital, he said, reaching for the phone. Bring her there right now. Just depends on the doctor. I could tell you stories about that. My niece and nephew's pediatrician. He never thought anything was wrong. You know, kids, he acted like, he said, I got 5 kids, you know. He thinks kids never have nothing seriously wrong with them. It's always just minor. He never wanted to believe nothing when you took him in there. He was always like, they're fine, they're fine. I didn't care for him at all. Sorry, anyway. Kathy did the following morning, Christmas Eve. The physician phoned. I have some bad news, he told her. Erin is gravely ill. It might be aplastic anemia or leukemia. Kathy's heart seemed to stop. I've arranged for a private room at the medical center, the doctor went on. The chief of hematology there will take over Erin's treatment. You can take her in early on the 26th. He stopped, then sighed. She might as well spend Christmas at home. Kathy didn't miss the tinge of hopelessness in his voice. Devastated, she told Mike, then began phoning family members. The following morning, Kathy bravely dressed Erin in her red jumper, onto which Erin's grandmother pinned a little gold angel. They reached Holy Ghost Parish in Wooddale and went to the sanctuary where Father Tom White was vesting to tell him what had happened. Father White listened. He blessed Erin and added her name to the list of ill parishioners who would be prayed for during Christmas Mass. And although the parents hadn't realized it yet, he threw away his prepared homily. I do that a lot, Father White says today. Sometimes everything I plan to say will change in an instant. A few moments later, Father White stood in front of a packed church. Looking down, he saw Erin in the front row, drowsing on Kathy's lap. Life isn't easy, he began. Sometimes we are presented with things we can't accept, situations too big to even comprehend, and we get mad at God about it. He began to pace back and forth in front of the congregation. During those times, God understands how we feel, and it's okay to be angry with him. But we also have to remember that we don't need to just lie down and take it. Father White looked at the parents in the first row. No, when we are presented with heartbreak, he wants us to fight. We have to use the faith we've been given. On the way home from church, Kathy and Mike agreed that the priest had given them hope. Tomorrow the battle would begin. The next morning, Kathy packed Erin's crib sheet, potty chair, special dish, and drawings from Kate to hang near her bed. Maybe I was in denial, but I wanted everything to be as normal and familiar as possible, she says. A team of physicians met them at the hospital, and when they found that Erin's hemoglobin had sunk to 4.5, a normal reading is between 11 and 15, the pace quickened. A bone marrow test revealed that Erin's body was making red cells, yet something was destroying them almost immediately. But why? Kathy and Mike gave extensive family histories. Specialists examined everything for clues. Their use of pesticides, their allergies, the antibiotics used to combat Erin's constant ear infections, and everything led to a dead end. 3 days later, there was still no diagnosis, no recommended treatment. Kathy refused to go home, so nurses brought a bed for her. At one point, a nurse told me that a prayer group had assembled in the playroom and wanted to see me. She said Kathy went out to meet them. They said they had heard about Erin and come to pray for her, but they didn't introduce themselves, and I had never seen any of them before. The group knelt in a circle with Kathy in their midst and prayed strongly for healing. They were fighting. Kathy realized fighting for a toddler they had never met. But being away from Erin upset her, and she didn't stay long. The next time she left Erin's side, the group had gone. By the evening of the 28th, Erin was sleeping almost constantly. When the doctor came, he shook his head. "You better prepare yourself," he told Kathy gently. "We're losing her. The only possibility left is a blood transfusion to keep her alive a little longer. But we can't find a compatible donor right now. Take mine." But Kathy already knew she wasn't a match. "Look, Mrs. Felk," the doctor continued, "Erin's oxygen level is falling, so I think you need to face—" "No!" She couldn't. The doctor quietly left. At midnight, a priest appeared, prayed for Erin, and anointed her. They were all fighting for Erin. Kathy realized Mike, at home with Kate, Father White, the hospital staff, all the people who were praying. She might be lonely, but she and Erin were not alone. Intently she watched her daughter. "Fight, Erin, fight." Every breath, every heartbeat was a small victory, but Erin's skin was almost transparent now. Her eyes ringed with shadows. A haze seemed to be lying over her, as if life was ebbing away, growing fainter, foggier. Suddenly, at 1:30 a.m., Erin opened her eyes. She looked aware, present. Kathy was astonished. "Lights, Mommy, lights!" Erin whispered, her gaze fixed on something above Kathy's head. Kathy turned, but saw nothing in the darkened room. "Where are the lights, honey?" she whispered, turning back. "What do you see?" Erin looked thrilled. "Bells, Mommy," she cried, her voice slightly stronger. "Lights and bells." The hospital corridors were completely hushed. Kathy's skin prickled. What could Erin be hearing? Was she hallucinating? No, she seemed extremely alert. Now Erin smiled. Raising a tiny hand, she pointed to the corner of the room. "Pretty ladies, Mommy. See them?" On her face was an expression of joy. "Pretty ladies." Kathy was afraid to turn around. What would she see? She had heard that angels came to carry people home to heaven. Was that what was happening? Was Erin seeing angels? No. Suddenly Kathy's heart seemed to break. She hadn't fought yet, she realized. Others had been doing it for her, but now it was her turn. Oh God, angels, don't take her, she prayed silently. Take me, not her. She hasn't even started to live. Please, please. A nurse came into the room. We found a reasonable blood match, she told Kathy. We are going to start a very slow transfusion. You'll have to watch each drop in case it begins to clot. Kathy looked back at Erin. Her daughter's eyes were closing again, but a smile remained on her lips. Kathy stayed alert for the rest of the night, watching the miniature droplets inch down the tube and into her daughter. Would the transfusion work? If not, Kathy knew there were no other options. Mike came in early that morning while Erin was still sleeping, so he too witnessed the beginning of the miracle. She awakened, and we both just stared at her, Kathy says. There was color in her daughter's lips. Erin's cheeks were pink, not gray. Do you feel like breakfast? Kathy asked. Erin nodded. By evening, her hemoglobin, which was 4.5, had mysteriously increased to 8. We don't know what has happened, her physician told the Phelps, but the transfusion must have worked because Erin seems fine. She might as well go home now. Erin's symptoms never returned because she left the hospital with her condition still described as undiagnosed. Kathy and Mike were not aware of what had actually happened to Erin until several years later, when we moved and changed doctors. I brought Erin's records to our new pediatrician, Kathy says. He was interested and did some research. Only then did she learn, says Kathy, that Erin's disease was a rare form of anemia, one that at the time had proved fatal to 6 out of only 7 Americans who'd been diagnosed with it. There had been no treatment then, and although blood transfusions had been tried in other cases, they had never worked. Today, Erin enjoys a rich and healthy life. She has earned a PhD in physical therapy, is on the staff at Johns Hopkins Medical Center, and travels all over the world in her spare time. Kathy's learned much from this difficult episode, especially about God and the power of prayer. I don't know why he healed Erin and not another child whose parents loved her just as much and prayed just as hard, she says. But I know now that it's okay to be mad at him. He doesn't hold grudges, and he does understand. And when his light breaks through our darkness, Kathy knows it can conquer even death itself. And that's just not the first case of it.